The December night was deceptively quiet when 21-year-old Jason Landry began his drive from San Marcos to Missouri City for Christmas break. He never made it home. Instead, his car was found abandoned and crashed on a desolate gravel road in Luling, Texas, miles off his intended path. The scene left investigators with a haunting story. The lights were still on, the keys were in the ignition, and Jason's clothing was discovered scattered along the road in the biting cold. Yet the young man himself had vanished into the pitch-black shadows of the oil fields.
What followed is a riddle that has defied logic for years, transforming a routine drive into one of the most baffling cold cases in recent memory. There were no signs of a struggle, no blood, and no clear reason why a student would strip off his clothes and walk into the darkness of a rural winter night. As we peel back the layers of this mystery, we're forced to confront the chilling possibility that what happened on Salt Flat Road wasn't just a tragic accident, but a sequence of events so bizarre they border on the impossible.
The emergency. No problem. All units are by I'm at the corner of Pleasant Hill and John Young Freeway.
Welcome back to Crime Solvers Central, everyone. I'm Jace.
And I'm Charlie. Jason Landry was a student at Texas State University in December 2020. Finals were over, and he was reportedly heading home for the holidays. According to investigators, he left his apartment in San Marcos at about 10:55 p.m. on December 13th. From there, officials later pieced together a route using his digital activity. They believe he traveled down Highway 80, moving through Martindale, Fentress, Prairie Lay, and then into Luling.
And that route matters because it helps establish that at least for most of the drive, Jason appeared to be moving in the general direction expected. But one of the most discussed details is what happened when he got into Luling. Investigators said that at one point, as he was moving through town, he stopped using Waze and began using Snapchat.
After that, his digital footprint effectively stopped near the intersection of Austin Street and Magnolia. That's a tiny detail on paper, but in a missing persons case, little digital transitions can become huge.
Because from there, the story becomes incredibly hard to reconstruct. Authorities believe he likely continued onto roads that eventually led to Salt Flat Road, a rural gravel roadway. Sometime after midnight on December 14th, his Nissan Altima was discovered there after what investigators describe as a single-vehicle crash.
Public reporting says the car appeared to have overcorrected on the gravel, spinning off the roadway, striking trees and a fence. The crash scene did not, by itself, explain a disappearance.
That's what makes this so eerie. A wrecked car on a dark rural road is one thing, but when responders and later investigators looked closer, the circumstances seemed deeply unusual. Reports say the lights were on, the keys were still in the ignition, and Jason was not there.
His phone was later found in the car, and clothing was discovered roughly 900 feet away from the crash site. Public accounts also say there was a small blood smear on the clothing, but investigators did not believe it indicated a catastrophic injury. And then there were the other belongings. Reports say that north of where the clothing was found, searchers found more of Jason's items, including a backpack, toiletries, and a tumbler containing a dead betta fish. Inside the backpack was his wallet, a laptop, gaming-related items, and a small amount of marijuana.
That detail has gotten a lot of attention over the years because investigators at one point explored whether the marijuana might have been laced. But later reporting said testing did not detect any other substances.
That part is important because people naturally try to fit the case into a clean explanation. Some assume intoxication. Others assume foul play. Others think a mental health crisis or disorientation. But the publicly known evidence doesn't settle any of those theories on its own.
Investigators have said there was no clear evidence that he removed his clothing under duress. And reporting has also noted that it was a cold night, with temperatures dropping into the 30s. That opens up one line of speculation, but it still leaves major gaps.
And the biggest gap may be that missing stretch of time. Based on reporting, investigators focused on the window between the end of Jason's digital activity in Luling and the discovery of the crashed car. That period remains one of the most critical unanswered parts of the case.
Those questions include, but are not limited to, what happened during that window? Did he become disoriented? Did he leave the crash scene on foot? Did he encounter someone? Did he hide somewhere and succumb to the elements? Or is there some piece of the route we still don't fully understand?
And that's why this case keeps pulling people back in. On the surface, there are clues everywhere, but the clues don't arrange themselves neatly. They almost seem to point in multiple directions at once.
Tomorrow marks a difficult milestone for a Texas family and the Texas State University community. It has been 5 years since Jason Landry disappeared while driving home for winter break. Tonight, Landry's loved ones are gathering to mark the anniversary in Luling. They continue to push for answers to find out where he is.
For me, one of the hardest things to get past is how many pieces of Jason's life were left behind at the scene or nearby, while Jason himself was not. In a lot of cases, a phone, wallet, keys, backpack, those are things a missing person usually keeps with them if they're consciously trying to get somewhere. Here, those items become part of the mystery instead.
Exactly. It feels like a case where every item tells you something, but not enough. The phone suggests he didn't simply walk off intending to start over somewhere. The wallet and other belongings make it harder to believe he planned a disappearance.
The clothing in the road makes people think panic, confusion, injury, or exposure. And yet, none of that conclusively rules out an encounter with another person after the crash.
There's also the geography. Rural roads at night can be disorienting even when you're calm. On a gravel road, after a crash, in darkness, in cold weather, possibly shaken up or injured even if not critically, those conditions alone can create chaos.
A person can make irrational decisions fast. That doesn't solve the case, but it does explain why someone might move away from the vehicle instead of staying put.
And then there's the Snapchat detail. That gets brought up a lot because people want it to mean something dramatic. It might, or it might not. It could be a clue to his mindset. It could indicate distraction. It could be completely incidental. But in missing person investigations, last digital activity matters because it can mark the final moment a person was behaving in a somewhat traceable way.
Another layer here is the passage of time. Jason disappeared in 2020, and the case is still active years later. His family has continued to advocate. Volunteers have continued to organize searches, and recent reporting says a $20,000 reward remains in place for credible information. That tells you both how seriously this case is still being treated and how badly answers are still needed.
And families live in a brutal space when a case stays unresolved this long. There's no ending to grieve properly, no certainty to stand on, no story to accept. Just the same night replaying over and over again with the same questions.
That's why cases like this don't just remain mysteries, they become emotional landscapes. Everyone who follows them ends up trying to map that final night in their own mind, wondering which tiny turn, missed detail, or overlooked interaction changed everything.
Left the keys in there and it's all locked up.
I don't know if you saw all his clothes and stuff back. He's completely naked wherever he's at.
Right, called you good?
Time has gone by in a blur.
Arrest red subject is coming back to Missouri City.
But yet it's also been so long. Because every day, that could be the day you get the call.
Jason Landry, a Texas State University student from Houston, disappeared Sunday, December 13th. His car was found crashed in a remote area outside Luling. Austin-based nonprofit Texas Search and Rescue combed the pump-jack-dotted landscape for 9 days with no sign of Landry.
Law enforcement sources are telling us that they now need your help to figure out what happened during the 67-minute window between the time they last have a digital footprint.
Now we're getting into theories, and as usual, we want to be careful here. These are not conclusions. There are possibilities people discuss based on the publicly known facts.
The first theory is that Jason crashed, became disoriented, and left the area on foot, eventually succumbing to the environment. That theory is usually tied to the cold weather, the removal of clothing, and the rural location. People point out that hypothermia and confusion can produce behavior that seems irrational from the outside.
There are cases where people in distress move farther than you'd expect before collapsing. Public reporting has noted the cold conditions and the strange state of the clothing, which is why this theory continues to come up.
The second theory is that there was some kind of altered mental state or impairment before or after the crash. That could mean stress, panic, exhaustion, a head injury, intoxication, or some other factor that affected judgment. This theory often gets discussed because of the unusual route and the abrupt end to his digital trail.
But again, it's important not to overstate it. Public reporting says later testing did not find any evidence that the marijuana recovered was laced with another substance. So that particular explanation has less support than people sometimes assume.
A third theory is foul play after the crash. This is the theory that often sticks in people's minds because the circumstances are so odd. The idea is that Jason, vulnerable and alone after the wreck, may have encountered someone. That person could have offered help, caused harm, or concealed what happened next.
The challenge is that public reporting has also said that investigators described the incident as isolated and did not announce evidence clearly pointing to an unknown suspect. So while foul play can't be ruled out publicly, it has also not been publicly established.
Then there's the possibility that the truth is a combination of things. Maybe there was a crash, then panic, then movement away from the car, and then some later event, injury, exposure, or an encounter that made the situation far worse. Real cases are messy. They don't always fit into one headline-friendly explanation.
And honestly, that might be why Jason Landry's case still resonates. Every theory seems to explain part of it, but not all of it. Disorientation explains some behavior, but not necessarily the total disappearance. Foul play explains the disappearance, but not the unusual items left behind. Exposure explains the risk, but not why he hasn't been found despite searches.
That's the part that stays with people. Not just that Jason vanished, but that the available evidence seems to stop short of a complete story every single time. Do you feel compelled to believe one of these theories? Do you have one of your own? Please let us know in the comments. Jason Landry's disappearance remains unsolved. His family is still looking for answers. Searchers and advocates are still working, and investigators have continued to treat the case as active.
Recent reporting says anyone with credible information should contact the Texas Attorney General's Cold Case and Missing Persons Unit. And one public report specifically listed Sergeant Rachel Kading at 512-936-0742.
If you lived in the Luling, San Marcos, or surrounding Caldwell County area in December 2020, think back carefully. Even something that seemed minor at the time could matter now. A vehicle on a rural road, a person walking in the cold, a conversation you dismissed, a story someone told you that never sat right with you. Cases like this are sometimes unlocked by one memory that didn't make sense until years later.
And if you do have information, the best thing you can do is pass it to law enforcement directly. You can also send tips to Crime Solvers Central through our channel or website so information can be documented and forwarded appropriately.
Please keep it responsible. Verified information helps. Rumors do not. Families dealing with a missing loved one should never have to sort through noise, hoaxes, or internet fiction while they're trying to find the truth.
We'll keep following cases like this because somebody is still missing. Somebody is still loved. And somebody out there may still know exactly what happened.
For Jason Landry, for his family, and for everyone still hoping this case can be solved, keep talking, keep looking, and keep sharing credible information.
And please, share this video, subscribe to our channel, and sign up for notifications. That way you'll know when we drop the next video. As always, stay safe, stay curious, and stay loud.